If you have any questions, let me go get your cards, and Barbara Ann will read them out to you after she shares her story.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Yes. Just want to make sure. Okay. My name's Barbara Ann Hill Irving, and first of all, I'd like to really thank the panel for coming to participate in our program this evening, because it's very difficult sometimes when you're dealing with situations, dealing with a criminal issue, to get answers to questions. So I know everyone here really appreciates you all coming. So on behalf of everyone here, I'd like to thank you for taking the time to come out and spend this evening with us. I'd like to say, for me, I'm not sure if I call myself a survivor anymore, but I am the mother of a victim of a crime. My daughter and grandbaby was murdered on December 21st, 2000 in the Woodlawn area. She was murdered by her fiance, who the baby she was carrying was his child, and he decided to first stab her in the liver, lacerating her, or stab her first and lacerating her liver. Then that was to kill the baby. So what he did, he felt that he wasn't successful enough, so he shot her in the back of the head. The blessing for me with our case was my 7-year-old granddaughter was in the back seat, and he did not kill her. He did leave her in the car all night on a very snowy night, and he ran. She was in the car for over 7 hours with her dead mother's body until she got enough nerve to crawl in the front seat over her dead mother's body, because back then they had the child protective locks on the cars in the back seat, so she couldn't get out. And she got out and was in Woodlawn, right on the corner, which was a tire repair company or some type of repair service, and this gentleman was getting ready to open the store, and he happened to see this little girl come out, no shoes on, no coat, and it's snowing. So he immediately knew something was wrong. He took her in his arms, they called the police, and they all brought the police department showed up, fire department, and that's when they found out that her mother was in the car and she could not wake her up. We have a taping of her on the phone talking to 911. They're asking her what happened, and she's like, I don't know how this happened. She just says that she's bleeding from her head. But luckily, he did not kill her. They automatically, the police took her to Children's Hospital, because at that time, when you don't know what has happened, who's involved, they automatically protect the child. The person who murdered my daughter and grandbaby's name is Tony Ringer. He showed up at the police department with us in Woodlawn, and I can remember him coming in with my family there. And it's amazing when people are looking at you and you're crying, but this gentleman actually walked in and he gave me a big hug. And he says, Mom, don't you worry, they're gonna catch the person that killed him. Not knowing any time that he was the one that killed him. And here, I keep that in my mind to this day, that the hands that he used to kill my daughter and grandbaby is the one he used to hug me. So that's a memory that I keep. But we were very fortunate within 24 hours, the investigation in Woodlawn was turned over to the Hamilton County Police Department. They were able to question him after questioning the family, and everyone was saying that she had been beaten by him several times, which I didn't know. They was able to arrest him in the wee hours of the morning on the murder of her, charging him with aggravated murder. He was then released because he was put on bond. I think it was $1 million bond, and the Cincinnati Bengals bailed him out the first time. 2 days later, he was rearrested, and then the Cincinnati Reds bailed him out on the $1 million bond. So I know you all are sitting there thinking, what? What affiliation was this? He was their barber. He was very well known here in Cincinnati. He had a well-established barber shop in the downtown area, which is, I think the shopping center was called Uptown, correct me, because I forget, okay? And he had a good relationship with them because he was well known, he was in the church, everybody said he could not do this. Well, needless to say, my family came together, we protested, we did everything a lot of you all did. We did many walks. I can remember walking with you and Hope as well. But we pulled together, which is what families do in a situation such as this. And it turned out we went to court. We didn't have a full trial, but they said that the night he was arrested, which I didn't understand this, his Miranda rights were violated. So instead of proceeding with the 2 charges of aggravated murder, he was given a sentence of involuntary manslaughter, which he was given 9 years for the murder of my daughter, 9 years for the murder of his baby, and 3 years for the use of a gun. He was given 21 years, and he was just released on August the 14th, 2022. It's hard to accept the sentence, just like Ms. Harris said here. It's hard to have a person released from prison, but at the end of the day, the judicial system, what we have is all we have. And this is what we have to deal with. For me, I'm glad he was arrested. I never thought he would be released from prison, but he was. So for 1 year prior to his release, my family and I, we've always worked with the judicial system, the prisons. And this year, last year was a nightmare because I had to work with the probation officers trying to figure out what happens. I'm being told he is now on what's considered 10-year post-control release. But what people don't realize, once a person that's committed a crime has done their time, they've done their time. They're just basically watching him, making sure that he doesn't cause any issues with us, and we're to, talk with them should it happen. But basically, it did not bring my daughter back. It did not bring my grandson back. So my family and I, this is what we deal with. And I must say I've joined a bunch of programs, Parents of Murdered Children, which is an organization that I wish no one ever has to join, but probably many of us in this room are now members of that organization. I'm part of UCanSpeakForMe's, which I'm sad for families that their crimes are not solved. That is worse than the crime itself, but this is what we have to deal with. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. The only thing I can say is that the person was convicted, he served his time, he's out, but my babies are not here. And now I work with other organizations, working with you all and telling my story, and just hope that for those that the crimes are not solved, we get someone captured to take care and basically come to justice. I have known Hope ever since her son was murdered. We met several years after my daughter, and we have been the best of friends. On the corner. That's right. I since now live in Florida. I actually moved because I was preparing myself for the release because I just didn't want to be here. But my family is still here. But it doesn't matter how far you can go. They say you can run, but you can't hide. I know just as much about what goes on here in Cincinnati as if I was here. So with that being said, I come back and I participate with any programs that go on. I help victims of crime and basically just do whatever I can do to help.